Have you ever heard the term chasing the dragon and wondered what on earth does that term mean? You may have heard about it recently because the FBI came out with a short documentary geared toward youth focused on the opioid epidemic. But this short video will introduce you for a way to understand what might be happening to someone when they crave drugs. I hope it will help you to communicate with families and loved ones who struggle with addictions, just to know what is going on with their mood. Hopefully after this presentation you'll be able to use this as an educational tool to help clients and their families, and perhaps you can even design your own metaphor or analogy on some aspect of addictions. So the term chasing the dragon has been around for a long time, and traditionally it referred to the inhaling of vapor from a heated solution of morphine, heroin, oxycodone, or opium. The moving smoke is chased after with a tube through which the user inhales. So that's the origin of the term. So let's talk a little bit about addiction and what might be going on. You can be addicted to anything: substances, food, gambling, sex, video games, pornography. When you drink alcohol or smoke a cigarette, or even if you get a like on social media, all of those experiences produce dopamine, which is a chemical that's associated with pleasure. Dopamine makes us feel good. When dopamine is released, we enjoy that feeling. And so we want to keep doing those things that make us feel good. And sometimes when we keep doing those things, we develop a tolerance. And this is where the idea of chasing the dragon comes into play. Now, the term chasing the dragon has also been used to describe what happens to a person when they become addicted. It's become a metaphor used to describe an addict's constant pursuit of the feeling of their first high. And here's a quote by Richard Preston when he experienced his first high. Typically, people do not set out to become drug addicts. Typically, addictive behaviors begin when an individual starts a period of experimentation with a particular drug. They try it out. Then the use begins to escalate over time, and you begin to see the appearance of tolerance, where individuals' pleasure set point increases and they need increasing amounts of the drug to reach the high produced by earlier, lower quantities. As an individual heads toward dependence, there's an increase in the motivation to obtain and continue using a drug, and a loss of control in limiting the drug intake. So one of the ways that you can explain this to a client who is addicted is to use the metaphor and graphic of chasing the dragon to help him understand what is really happening. So the flat line that you see here, this would be normal functioning, how you're functioning on a daily basis, how you feel. This is normal. Then we introduce a drug into the system, and it creates this feeling of euphoria, and the person feels fantastic. And so watch that line as it spikes up to the top. And many people who are addicted will say that they have never felt better in their life. Perhaps because of their genetic and biological susceptibility, this euphoria is intense and it's consuming. Of course, when this wears off, the desire to seek that feeling again leads to a repeat of the behavior. And the problem is they can never ever reach that high again. But the person taking the drug has no idea that they can never reach that place of euphoria again. And because they don't know it, they'll keep trying to reach that same level of pleasure repeatedly. So the person tries the drug again, and it feels good, just not as good as the first time. And then the drug wears off and they're coming back down to normal. Again, they're trying to reach that high that they can never reach again, despite trying only to reach a point where with repeated use, the body improves its ability to detoxify the substance. And so this leads to higher and higher tolerance of the substance, meaning it takes more to get an effect. Eventually, the brain and the body believe that the substance is necessary to survival. And eventually, as drug use continues, the person actually develops a new normal. And when they come down from that drug, they feel lower than they ever felt before. And it eventually gets to a point where that person is taking the drug not to experience a high necessarily, but just to reach a point where they feel more like you and I do on a daily basis. So when a person is using drugs in a habitual manner, the chemical is overwhelming the pleasure center, but it's also eliminating natural neurotransmitters, which in turn eliminate receptors for those neurotransmitters. So when a person tries to stop, they become extremely uncomfortable, they become sad, depressed, and unmotivated. And this is why the person who is addicted becomes consumed by the addiction. The individual no longer seems to be the caring, responsible person they once were. Instead, they resort to behaviors that we do not expect from them as they become more focused on chasing that dragon that they can never catch again. So I'm hoping you could use this video just to help families understand what is going on with their loved one, or to help the individual understand why it is so difficult to quit.